What's going on, everybody? Welcome to tonight's episode of D&D&Chill. I'm not gonna lie, I'm extremely tired, as always. But yeah, the show must go on. Got some G Fuel, so we're gonna be sipping on that. And I actually don't have a whole lot that I want to chat about today. I got one thing that I'm working on that I do want to talk about. So I gotta set some things up on my side still. I am so tired. Sorry. My apologies. Whew. Yeah, no things to submit. Yes and no. I definitely did notice that. This was a quiet week. All right, so one thing that I did want to talk about was this homebrew that I've started to work on, started to think on. It's definitely a work in progress, so there's a lot of tweaking that needs done with it. I actually got some good advice from what's his name, Cinderblock Sally, about some of this, so I will be taking that into account as I continue to refine this. But I have recently come up with a system of traits that, as a DM, you could, when your player comes to you with a backstory, or you know, and in that backstory, not quite elsewhere. Wait, what? Yeah, that's yeah. But you know, when as a DM, your player comes to you with a backstory where they say, you know, like, oh, my character has this weapon that was given to them by their father, their grandfather, or, you know, from an ancestor, or it's an heirloom weapon that's been passed down. And you know, it's a long sword, and they have it when they're level 1, and it's like, you know, this is the sword that slew the vampire that, you know, enslaved my family, blah blah blah. And then, you know, 3 or 4 sessions later, the player finds a +1 longsword, and suddenly it's like, okay, it's like that scene from Toy Story where it's like, I don't want to play with you anymore, and you know, the heirloom sword suddenly gets thrown aside. So the system that I came up with is basically that, as a DM, you can choose to give weapons certain traits, certain qualities, and based on those, they level up with your character, or with your player's character. So the thing, you know, the main reason for this is so that it does incentivize that weapon continues to get used and continues to carry on with the player and still is a viable weapon as you go. And it's you know, it's part of this magical connection that the two of you have. So that's where this really came from. So like a blessing of weapon enchantment. Why am I ignorant of that? Yeah. You know what? I never really did a whole lot with blessings in the DMG. Tell you what, that was always I know that there was the blessing of the Morning Lord, which I have in my one game. But yeah, kind of similar to that. So the idea is that as you level up, your weapon grows with you. And actually that was the initial name that I had put with this, was Ascending Arms, or sorry, was Growing Weapons, and I changed it to Ascending Arms. But the common traits here and the unique traits down here, they are meant to be used in conjunction with another. So obviously the very first one here, Magic Touched, this is your very basic. This is, you know, a simple upgrade that allows the weapon to grow with the player, just giving it that magic, that little bit of a magic touch, to give it a +1, +2, +3. Keen Edge, being able to critically hit on, you know, a 19 and a 20, and then once you get to level 10, an 18 and a 20, and then at level 15, you're still critting on an 18 and 20, but once per long rest, you can choose to critically hit without, or yeah, I don't know why it says without. I gotta change that. Choose to critically hit with this weapon. Huh. Oh, I think I meant to put, I think I was initially going to put without attacking, but I didn't want that. But it's when you hit it. What's up, Hannah? Also, yeah, what's up, Corgi Butt? So we have, like I said, we have Keen Edge, which allows you to crit more often. We have Monstrous Bane, where you can turn your weapon into essentially a giant slaying longsword or a, you know, dragon slaying dagger, something like that. If your character, if your player's character has some kind of, you know, some kind of backstory where they, like a vampire, for example. Okay, if this is something where your player's backstory is that their family was, you know, enslaved by vampires and that they want to go out and kill them, this could be a this could be like an undead bane sword, and as it grows with you, it gains these extra abilities. I was iffy on Defender's Blessing, where it gives you a plus, you know, gives you a bonus to your AC while you're wielding it. So that I'm still iffy on that. I kind of have the idea of doing armor sets that have certain benefits, so I'm probably gonna move that over to there. Life Drinker, this is actually one that Cinderblock did look at and gave me some good advice on this one. So with this, when you reduce a creature to 0 hit points, you gain temporary hit points equal to your proficiency bonus. He said since there's a lot of stuff that already gives you temporary HP, and it would be something that could get muddled into that, and I think this was a discussion we talked about in the Homebrews channel on the Discord, making this just that it recovers hit points. Also that like some of these do kind of play into class features. So for example, a Keen Edge longsword would be something that a champion fighter is always going to have, because that's just part of their class. And then we have Swift Strike, where it's once, twice, and thrice per long rest, you can make additional attacks as you level up. So he said something about like not liking that this has charges essentially. But again, I definitely want this to have more of a magical connotation where it's your connection with it. Like you have learned how to strike a little faster, to, you know, strike a little bit cleaner, and that allows you to get that one extra one out of it a day. From there, we have unique traits such as the Flame Brand, Frostbite, Storm. Woo! My whole stream just like dropped out and went unstable for a minute. But you know, it's one of those things where as you know, it just gives you something extra with your weapon. It makes your character more, you know, care more about their weapon. One of the ones I didn't do, I was gonna do Radiant and Necrotic, and play into that a little bit for like clerics and holy characters and paladins. But again, I just feel like this is something that, you know, as a DM, you can work with your players. It's not necessarily something you want to drop with every single weapon. Okay, you obviously don't want to, you know, at level 2 have a chest of weapons in a dungeon and every single one of them has something with it. You know, these are things that should be taken into consideration when your character gets it. Maybe it's something that they have some say into, and like, you know, it's training that they do with it. Maybe this is something that is part of their backstory and part of their personal journey that they want to build into. Maybe they want to play a character who's more attuned with the storm, and that's like that's a big part of their build. Maybe they were like born during a lightning storm, and so you want to give them something extra that their weapon can do that allows them to carry that through the adventure. Then we have Tidal Roar. Down here, the weapon grants a swimming speed equal to the walking speed and the ability to breathe underwater. 10th level, you can cast Control Water once per long rest, and you can deal an extra 1d6 cold damage. And at 15th level, you gain resistance to cold damage and can cast Tsunami. So I wanted something that was, you know, ocean related. And then we have Prism's Edge. This is definitely going to be switched over to a... Excuse me, this is going to be switched over to a spellcasting focus in my next iteration. I'm also going to adjust this part of it, where it's not going to have an additional elemental charge, or it's not going to have additional elemental damage. But it is going to be something where you have charges, you can use those to cast like Chromatic Orb, Elemental Bane, and Prismatic Spray. Something that is, again, if you are a character who is more attuned to a certain element, this is something you can play into. And then we have the exclusives to range and melee. These were the two whenever I started thinking about like races and things that you might find out in the wilderness. So you might find an elven bow that has the Sylvan Sentinel feature and trait on it, where it grants you advantage on perception checks. If you don't move, you can use a bonus action to gain advantage. That's a lot like the rogue steady aim ability. And then it gives you the sharpshooter benefit. Now, I understand that at 15th level, you may already have access to the sharpshooter benefit, or the sharpshooter feat. I think in that respect, if it was at my table, I would allow somebody else to take another feat because, you know, it would be supplemented. But it's definitely one of those things where, you know, it has built up with your character, and kind of like brutal orcish weapons where the damage die type increases one size. So a D10 becomes a D12, a D12 becomes 2D8, and so on and so on. And then it, like this granting a rogue feature, this grants a barbarian feature where you're able to roll an additional damage die and then getting the savage attacker. So it's not done. This is definitely was like something that I had the idea of, just like one of my players who is going to be joining one of my games. I was trying to come up with some magic items that could start him out, because he's going to be jumping into a level 5 campaign. And I was like, you know, I really want something cool for your character. I want you to have some magic items that you can jump into, because the rest of the party already has some common, uncommon, and a few rare items already. So I want you to have something. And one of the things that we actually came up with was similar to these shards. It's actually the thing I came up with. So there are these shards that are available in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything that are planar shards. Hafterman. Oh my goodness, I can't pronounce your name. The Hafterman. Oh, you have similar weapons, and nice. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear it. I'd be interested to hear how you implemented something like that in your game. So the way that I did it with the shard was I looked through like the Shadowfell, the Feywild, and the Far Realm, because his character is an aberrant sorcerer. And so I wanted to go the Far Realm because it made the most sense with his subclass, but we're building his character to be more of a dreamscape drifter. That'll take a while. No worries, man. But I mean, hey, we got time. You're more than welcome to chat. That's why we're here. We're here to chat, hang out, and, you know, just have a good time and chill. So being that he's going to be a dreamscape drifter, and nightmares and dreams exist within this realm, when he uses a meta magic option, he will have the ability to summon a nightmare or a dream-like desire illusion of a creature within, you know, 60 feet of him or within 30 feet of him. And this will allow them to be charmed or frightened. So it's kind of similar to the what's the warlock? Can't think of. It's the where's the Fey? The Archfey. It's very similar to the Archfey ability of Fey Presence, where you can charm or frighten a creature with that ability. So that was kind of where I initially started with this, and like where I wanted to come up with this. But it gave me this idea of like, could you have weapons that you build and grow into? And this is not an uncommon idea. There are other weapons out there. For example, Smith from the Rime of the Frost Maiden game, he has a weapon known as Dawzimmer, and Dawzimmer actually has something very similar to this, where at 1st, 4th, 8th, and 12th and 16th level, he gets certain things. Now, this was very much based on another weapon known as Boreas that was already kind of set up, but this is really what I wanted to go with. I wanted it to be something where, you know, much like this weapon, as you level up, it's getting stronger with you. You know, like this one, for example, at first level, you have a charge, and you can use that charge to deal extra fire damage. It then becomes a +1 weapon, and it gains 2 charges. Then at 8th level, you can become like an aspect of light. At 12th level, that becomes a +2, and at 16th level, it becomes a +3. So like, this was very much where I took inspiration from, but as you can see, it's like, oh, it's a +3 weapon and it has 8 charges, you know, or this is a +2 and it has 5 charges. You can do this. this is where I wanted these to have like, oh, combined a common trait with a unique trait. You know, this is a +1, you know, at level 10, this is a +2 weapon, and it grants you resistance to lightning damage. You deal extra lightning damage with it, and you can cast lightning bolt. It's like, okay, cool. Like, this is a thing that you can now do, and like once you get up to a higher level, it's a little bit stronger. Wizard has a wand that grants 1 spell slot 1 level higher than what he can cast. Not spells, just the slot. Huh. Wizard has a wand that grants 1 spell slot 1 level higher than what you can cast. Not oh, okay, I see. So that would be like if you had like Fireball, for example, and you were level 7 and could cast 5th level spells. This would allow you to cast not 5th level spells, 4th level spells. This would allow you to cast it at a 5th level because you already have access to Fireball. That's pretty sick. That is really sick. I like that idea. I might steal that for something. So yeah, like I said, I'm still definitely working on this. This is 100% a work in progress. Wand of free upcast. Yeah, basically. So I am going to keep updating this, and speaking of which, this is a recent update with myself. But if you are at all interested in keeping up on some of the things that I work on, aside from going to the link above me or clicking the about button below the stream and going to the Discord, I have a free Patreon that you can join, or you don't have to join. Do not spend money on it. But no, you can go there, and that's actually where I'm going to post everything. So if you want to keep up on the stuff that I'm working on, or if you want to check in on it every now and again, it does have I had to set a minimum tier of $1 a month, but I prefer if people don't put money into that. So just that's just where everything's going to be. They're all going to be free. They're all going to be public, and you'll see the Ascending's Arms over there, and I will be updating that as time goes on. So keep an eye on over there for updates on this. But when I had brought this up, Stacy in the Discord had mentioned about it's the first time it is. Stacy had mentioned about this particular supplement, which is Ancestral Weapon Creation Rules. This is a supplement that I've had for a while. It was part of a big bundle I got back in the day, and pretty much the way that it works is it's kind of a very similar idea of of what I'm working with the Ascending Arms, but the difference is that instead of having traits that grow as you progress your character, with this one, as you play your character, you earn spirit points, and as you earn spirit points, you are able to upgrade your ancestral weapons as you go along. So here it is. So determine who has an ancestral weapon. These weapons are not appropriate for every character. Discuss with your players to find out where this is best placed. Dragonborn barbarian from a noble tribe is more likely to wield an ancestral weapon than an orphan who is left on the streets. So this is definitely one of the things that I wanted to touch more on in the explanation about this, and I really didn't. Not everybody's gonna have something like this. It's not gonna be super common in your game. It shouldn't be super common in your games, because this should be something that is fairly unique, and it's something that should be personal to the character. determine what the ancestral type is. So this is going to be really anything from the weapons list. Determine the starting amount of spirit points. So like it says, it can be 0 or the character level +2. Buy the first upgrades and then kind of go from there. And so yeah, we'll look down here at some of the upgrades. So this is where it definitely differs a little bit from what I'm doing. As you can see, there are some ones on here like Duelist, where it has like Duelist level 1, Duelist level 2, and then level 3, and that's kind of where it ends, or Magical Core 1, 2, 3, and 4. Focus on ancestral aspect though. That's the thing, you know, Ascending Arms is not like this could be an ancient weapon, this could be an heirloom weapon, but it also could be something that when you join the Thieves Guild, for example, maybe there's a unique trait called Shadow's Veil, where at 5th level you gain proficiency, or you can double your proficiency bonus when you make stealth checks while this weapon is on you. And then at 10th level, you can cast silence on yourself once per day, and maybe there's something else to go along with it. Maybe you have advantage on stealth and sleight of hand, and then at 15th level you're able to cast darkness, and any attack you make is silent, and if you attack from the darkness, you can't be your position isn't given up, or something like that. So it is something that can be worked in outside of like, this is an heirloom or this was handed down. It can be something that is like really built into your character's backstory. So an evoker wizard might have a staff that is flame brand, where they can use it to attack, but they're also gaining that resistance to fire damage. They're being able to cast fireball once a day. They're able to get immunity later on. Cleric has a pan soldier/cook background. As long as all characters contribute rations, pan provides heroes fees. Nice. That's actually really smart. See, that's kind of the thing, it's about taking your character's backstory and who the character is and developing something unique and specific for that character with how they play them. 100%. I absolutely, Heroes Potluck, that's fucking awesome. Yes, I just finished a bottle of water. I had forgotten I had put a caffeine pack in it just to function for days, so I'll be awake for a while. It also felt like your ancestral you mean Ascending Arms. Your Ascending Arms could be implemented anytime during a campaign with some storyline reason, while ancestral weapons seemed yeah, so that's the thing about it with like being ancestral, where it should be, arguably you could hand down an ancestral weapon. As an example, okay, Smith in the Rime of the Frost Maiden campaign, he's a Goliath barbarian. It could be that when they go to the Goliath Valley and he does, bring peace to the Goliaths, maybe they give him an axe that is passed down. And so, for example, it would maybe have like one level 1 upgrade and a level 2 upgrade. So maybe it would have Indomitable, where when he's reduced to 0 hit points, he can make an attack, and would also have there was one called Barbaric, I think. where was it? There it is. When you reduce a creature to 0 hit points, you gain advantage on your next attack. So maybe it would have like 2 of those or something like that. Holy shit. Huh. Look at this. A level 5 upgrade is Keen, and it's that you crit on a 19 or 20, and that's literally the same thing that I have. Yeah, we're on this guy, and I haven't looked at this in so long. Also, he has enchanted weapon +4, I think. Okay, no, he doesn't. Magical core, that's what I was looking at. But he basically has like a very similar thing that I have going on, where like you know, enchanted weapon at level 3 is making it a plus, you know, a +3 weapon. Now the biggest difference between this is that you know what you're getting with this, whereas with the ancestral weapons you're having to buy these. So you're gaining ancestral points, you're gaining these spirit points, and it you know, and it says here they'll earn 1 per character level, and but they can be handed out, you know, as they level up, and, you know, like through other things. Like it says here, if they do something, you know, heroic, maybe that they kill some beast, or they do something great, maybe they can earn something. And then you can also hand them out based on rarity. So if you're giving out some like rare magic items to the party, maybe you hand out, you know, 5 or 6 of these ancestral weapons, and your players can pick and choose. And I will agree, because like even in my own head, I'm saying to myself, this is definitely more player forward. If you know, if this would be brought up, where it's like, okay, as a player, I might want the duelist ability, but you know, the DM didn't give me that. You know, the DM gave me the keen edge and magic touched. You know, something like that could be where ancestral weapons comes into play a little bit more. And, you know, honestly, I mean, it's definitely a different style system where, you know, you're spending points as you go. But you know, I think they both have their good qualities. There's a lot more choice on this, and I will agree. I will admit to that. There's a lot more choice. But then again, I have not fully finished what I'm doing. Like, mobile is a perfect example. You know, you could have a common trait where it increases your speed by 5 feet at 5th level, and then at you know, at 10th level, maybe it increases it by or maybe you know, maybe it's 5 feet at 5, 10 feet at 10, 15 feet at 15. You know, because it's kind of the same thing as what they're doing here. You're just like picking into a grouping. So yeah, just wanted to talk a little bit about this today. It's something that I've been, you know, thinking about a little bit here and there, and finally put down on some paper. So but yeah, that was that's Ascending Arms and Ancestral Weapons. I'm trying to think if I have anything else I wanted to say on it. I don't think I do. Man, I am my network is messing up right now. Keep glancing over to it. I remember you weren't super keen on ancestral weapons when we talked about it before, something about it being too much to track or work for the DM. So that had a lot to do with the fact of how the ancestral weapons does the point system. So that's something where if you as the DM, so if you take something like Ascending Arms, okay, so if we look at Ascending Arms, and you know, you make this weapon and then give it to your player in the very beginning, or even if you know, they make you they join the Harpers or the Zentarum or the Thieves Guild, and you want to give them something that is associated with that levels up with them, that grows with them in time. Having something like the Ascending Arms is where you can just say, okay, it has Magic Touched, it has Life Drinker, and it has Viper's Fang. Okay, this is a Poisoner's Dagger. Excuse me. This is a Rogue's Dagger. It has poison on it, and it has, you know, Magic Touch, Life Drinker, and Viper's Fang. So cool. All right, so that's all that you really have to know. And you can, you know, you can take these three and you can put them on the character, you can put them on the weapon that you create, and kind of like I do with Smith's character, you can have them crossed off, and as the character unlocks those, you can just, you know, reveal them in time. Whereas with ancestral weapons, you have to remember to hand out spirit points, okay? Because like it says, they should